uko kuno aho pano mama wanna get it nice anovura meso anovura nzeve anogaya marigi kama kweto tikom borongere doti komu usasai kama kwe anogaya marigi
kamba kwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com kambakwe vanogaya mari vanotaura mari vanosiya mari kambakwe vanotaura feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei vanhu muterere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei mirai ndikudzei kuti chokwadi pano chizere kambakwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotaura straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence
entertainment current affairs and news kambakwe.com usasarire kambakwe anogaya mari
Right, 16 January 2022, and today we have a very, very important topic. This is going to be one of the most important activities or occurrences in 2022 in Zimbabwean politics, and that is the MDC Alliance of Nelson Chamisa, the name that he's going to use in the upcoming by-elections. Chamisa is going to be forced in the next 10 days to make an announcement of what name he must use. But this has thrown his camp into serious confusion. Chamisa himself cannot stop talking about this issue. Over the past month, Nelson Chamisa has been talking about changing the name MDC Alliance to something else. You can see the tweets that he's been putting out, flogging a dead horse. In life, you always know the correct time to get off a dead horse. Blessed Sabbath, beloved. And if you look at today's tweet, let me just unhide the banner there. Who flourish in the land, then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one also. So he named it Sitna. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. He named it Rehoboth, saying, now the Lord has given us room and will flourish in the land. And he put Genesis 26, verse 20 to 22. We are ready to make and take our Rehoboth. At Rehoboth, every Zimbabwean shall flourish. Wishing you a Rehoboth 2022 blessed Sunday. So this is Nelson Chamisa, and I always say the biggest problem with Nelson Chamisa is he is not decisive. He cannot make a decision quickly. He cannot make a decision without going through an elaborate process. And this is what is causing problems in the MDC Alliance of Nelson Chamisa. And I know someone like Advocate Fadzai Mahere, she has worked with an indecisive leader before, in the form of Pastor Ivan Mawarire. Pastor Ivan Mawarire would not make a decision. If the time to make a decision comes, Pastor Ivan Mawarire would always take his time, and then when he makes that decision, it will be too late. The opportunity will be lost. This is what we're seeing here. Nelson Chamisa is introducing confusion in his camp because he's not decisive. So what is happening is, when you look at the press statements that were held this week by Fadzai Mahere and Tedai Biti, when they were with Arozivishe, what they said was totally different and opposite to each other. And I want to show you what they said. And this was going to be funny if this issue was not so important. So listen to the difference between what Tendai Biti said and what Advocate Fadzai Mahere said.
There will be no confusion. This is not the first time that there has been, movements that purport to call themselves the real opposition. It's not the first time. So let's not behave as though it is. Let's not create a storm in a teacup. Is it calling a party Chamisa? No. It's about changing the fundamentals around which the electoral process is conducted.
The MDC is a brand that was built over 20 years of existence. So it's like Coca-Cola. Anyone from Cairo to Cape Town will know the MDC, will know Morgan Tsvangirai, will know Nelson Chamisa. So those who are pushing us, they're desperate, they're desperate. But of course, we'll consult our people in due course and we'll make the right decisions in the best interest of the people of Zimbabwe.
Right. This is a sad thing to watch. Nelson Chamisa's people, they're in the dark. If you look at Tendai Biti, he doesn't know what Chamisa is planning or going to do about the name. If you look at Fadzai Mahere, she does not know what Nelson Chamisa is planning or is going to do about the name. So you have confusion among the top leaders of the MDC Alliance. Let me call it MDC Alliance. And to make it worse, the election is, the nomination court is in 10 days. If you look at people like Prince Dubeko, he has already started campaigning in Binga using the name MDC Alliance. And this is said because imagine when they announce a new name and they've started campaigning in their areas under this name MDC Alliance. Then Chamisa comes and introduces a new name. What is going to happen? And you can hear Fadzai Mahere saying there that calling the party Chamisa is not what is important. It's because she does not know. Chamisa has not let her know what is going to call the party. Tendai Biti is saying the MDC Alliance is a brand name. It's like Coca-Cola. So what are you going to do now if you are losing Coca-Cola? Are you going to rename? Are you going to rebrand? So the action is missing because Chamisa has not told them. Chamisa has deliberately kept them in the dark because he does not know himself. In fact, I think Chamisa, he is very concerned about the implications of changing the name. He does not know what will happen if he changes the name. So hence you see this confusion, this big confusion among the top leaders of the MDC, especially the vice presidents, the spokesperson. And let me tell you what Ostalos then said a few months ago. So let's look at the statement that Ostalos is, the banner that Ostalos put out. Citizens Actions for Change. So on top of Citizen Convergence for Change, Ostalos came up with Citizens Actions for Change. And you can see it's getting worse. It's terrible what is happening in the MDC Alliance of Nelson Chamisa. They do not know what to do. They are totally out of their depth as far as this issue is concerned. And the biggest reason why this is happening is Nelson Chamisa has never started anything new. So he has always had to jump onto something that was started. First of all, Morgan Tsvangirai, when he started MDC, Chamisa was there, but he was not the one who started it. He's not the one who named it. Then when the MDCT, or Morgan Tsvangirai, was formed, you remember that Chamisa was supposed to go with BIT, but eventually, because the name PDP was so new, Nelson Chamisa refused to go with Tendai Biti. He eventually went to Tsvangirai just because of that name. So Chamisa has got a very difficult time moving from the name MDC, and the implications of changing that name for Chamisa, it's almost terrifying for him to imagine himself in any other party that does not have the name MDC in it. So in fact, what we can say is Chamisa is not confident, and I'm saying this with all respect. He's not confident of his ability to start a new brand and then to grow that brand and to go into an election with it. But myself, I've got full confidence that if Nelson Chamisa was to bite the bullet at this particular time, and then he moves away from the name MDC and does something new, he's going to do much, much better than he expects. But he needs to change a few things. So let's wrap up with what Chamisa needs to do. And I want to go into what makes Nelson Chamisa strong. What makes Nelson Chamisa strong is when he talks directly to people. So not through a spokesperson, not through a vice president. When Chamisa goes directly to an audience, he's very convincing. He communicates himself very, very clearly. So Chamisa needs to go back there. But he needs to go back with a new name. He cannot go right now and keep fighting this fight over MDC Alliance. He needs to cut himself out, to cut himself away from the MDC name, which I think is quite toxic. Of course, there'll be impacts. There'll be a loss of the potential vote. But Chamisa is not going to, in my opinion, is not going to lose an election in Harare because there's a name MDC, or he's using a name Chamisa or Ngapinde Mkomana or whatever. Whatever name that Chamisa uses in these particular elections, he's going to do well in the urban areas. Maybe in the rural areas, there'll be a bit of confusion, as what happened to Thokozani Kupe in Machiavelli. There was a lot of confusion. She benefited from the name MDC. So the first thing that Chamisa needs to do is he needs to change that name immediately, make the announcement, not wait for 10 days. Like what I'm hearing, that they want to announce the name during the nomination court on 26 January. That's a poor idea. He needs to change the name immediately. Then what Chamisa needs to do is he needs to base his party on ideology and not on individuals. So he said it when I was talking to my brother Zenzele Ndebele last year, that going forward, the MDC is going to allow local communities to choose their candidates. So what Chamisa needs to do, he needs to stop guys like Prince Duveko Spanda from who are going around and now making themselves candidates. And he needs to open that process. So that campaigning process where he allows people to choose their own leaders with a new name, that will make the name more marketable within the communities where there are elections. Remember, this is just a small election with less than 30 MPs. So Chamisa will do well in those areas where MDC won if he allows people to contest. Local communities have some sort of mini primary election, which means he's got 10 days to do it, to make sure that people choose the candidate that they want. And then another most important thing is Chamisa will need to join Poland. I've said this before many, many times. He's losing an opportunity to influence the electoral process. So everything that Fadzai Mahere is saying about the process of the election, about ZEC, there is no platform where you can discuss that right now outside of Poland, and time is going. So Chamisa needs to change and join this dialogue in Poland. And also they need to stop insulting Monzora. They need to talk to Monzora. He is part of their original team. And if they do not talk to him and they keep fighting with Monzora, they are going to lose out. The opposition is totally going to lose out. So I think basically this is where we are. Total confusion in the MDC, lack of confidence by Nelson Chamisa. He does not know what to do. He does not know the implications of changing the name MDC Alliance to any other name, that whatever variation of the name that they will come up with. But the mistake has already been made. No consultation with the structures. The MDC of Chamisa cannot do well if it's not consulting the structures. There should have been some very robust debate on what name they will use. But then that was not done. But I want to replay this short clip again before I go into the comments.
There will be no confusion. This is not the first time that there has been, movements that purport to call themselves the real opposition. It's not the first time. So let's not behave as though it is. Let's not create a storm in a teacup. Is it calling a party Chamisa? No. It's about changing the fundamentals around which the electoral process is conducted.
The MDC is a brand that was built over 20 years of existence. So it's like Coca-Cola. Anyone from Cairo to Cape Town will know the MDC, will know Morgan Tsvangirai. We will know Nelson, Chamisa. So those who are pushing us, they're desperate. They're desperate. But of course, we'll consult our people in due course, and we'll make the right decisions in the best interest of the people of Zimbabwe.
Right. I feel sorry for Chamisa, Tendai Biti, Fadzai Mahere, Ostalos, young men in the MDC Alliance who right now are sitting with so much uncertainty because they cannot make a decision, a simple decision. Now let's look at this few comments and then we'll wrap it up and we'll be back again later in the week. Mr. Tinashe Jonas, as you know, has traveled to Zimbabwe. I want to give him a few days to settle down, and then we can then talk about what is happening in Zimbabwe. Let's look here. One-on-one. Gambakwe so makes you smile. Okay, good. I like it. Tawia, good evening, Mr. Gambakwe. Good evening to you, Tawia. And Morgan Makichi, we also want to hear about the shambolic ZANU-PF elections. I think, Morgan, you're right. We should also say what is happening in ZANU-PF. The good thing is right now, you haven't heard anyone in ZANU-PF fighting with each other in terms of who is the candidate, what is the name of the party. Imagine if the ZANU-PF did not have a name right now, going into the elections in 10 days. That would be news. Everything else that is happening, it's not news. Having no name while you go in an election is terrible. And then Erisha is saying, whether you like it or not, Chamisa is a brand. I do agree, Chamisa is a brand. Do not get me wrong. Chamisa is a brand. But your brand could mean nothing if you do not market it properly, if you do not put it to the people. That is why you lose elections. That is why if someone gets 51% of the election and the other one gets 49, the one with 51% wins. This is where Chamisa is missing it. He needs to do the right things now, in advance, not to wait for the day of the election to make a decision. That is where I'm saying there is total confusion. You can hear it between Tendai Biti and Fadzai Mahere. They are all confused about what is happening. They do not understand it. Now, let's look. Mukoma Nabasarenyu Ndere, are you the judge? That is Clifford. What are you, judge? We're a media house. Media houses, they go into detail. If I do not say what I'm saying to you now, you would not understand what is happening in politics. And you would totally understand the MDC if you listen here. If you go to other channels, they will tell you lies about what is happening in the MDC. The MDC is totally confused. Chamisa is not able to take their party to the next level. He managed to do well in 2018 election. But with this approach that Chamisa is taking, he's not able to take the MDC to that next level where you want it to do well. And then one-on-one, once Chamisa changes his name, Monzora is going to make more moves to block him. I do not know. Monzora, I like Monzora. He's a nice guy. He's a reasonable guy. I think Chamisa should just approach him and talk. And they should stop this business of insulting him every day. The reason why people like Fadzai Mahere and Tedabiti like to insult Monzora is because they came from outside. They want to appear as if they are loyal. They don't want to be questioned. Remember, Tedabiti came from PDP and Fadzai Mahere came from this flag. Fadzai Mahere does not have respect for Chamisa. He thinks Chamisa is unstrategic, dictatorial, and he is a hooligan. That's what she thinks. She said in the past. You should go back into her old interviews when she was in this flag. She's got no respect for Chamisa because she thinks Chamisa, he lacks the ability to think at the higher level. Listen to Mahere when she's speaking. She totally speaks above the heads of everyone. She's way above, over there in the sky, and people like Chamisa, they're at the bottom. And she knows this because, as I said, she worked with Pastor Ivan. Pastor Ivan was the worst person on making a decision. He would first of all go and pray and all sorts of things. That is what Chamisa is like, and Mahere hates it. She doesn't like it when people do that. She likes decisive people. And that is where I'm saying you will see the confusion continue. Chamisa will not reveal his plan to them, and they will keep talking on the sidelines, and they will say Chamisa is making mistakes. He's not deciding Why doesn't he just say MDC Chamisa and move on? And this is where we are at the moment. Then Tafazo is saying Zanu Hamigone. Yes, I don't think this is about Zanu though. This is more about having an opponent that is weak and indecisive and ineffective. That is the problem. ZANU-PF, let me tell you what ZANU-PF can do in these elections, by-elections. ZANU-PF can win all these by-elections. All they need to do is to mobilize as many of their people as possible on election day to vote. Chamisa's party, they've only mobilized 3,000 people in the past year to register to vote. The whole year, only 3,000 people have registered to vote. If ZANU-PF was to go into each constituency where they have people on every day, take everyone from their national who is not contesting and say go in that ward and make sure everyone votes. ZANU-PF will win these elections, even in the cities, because Chamisa cannot mobilize these people to vote. That is the weakness of Chamisa. He has a lot of people online, he has a lot of people on Twitter, but he does not have people on the ground. That is why things are not working. To make matters worse, Chamisa is not directly communicating to his base. His people are not hearing his voice. Imagine last year, Chamisa had a January strategy video where he talked. Now he did not even come out and talk. No one knows what Chamisa is doing except to tweet. People want to see Chamisa on video. They want to see Chamisa addressing them. They want to see those short clips going out to the people. And that is where Chamisa does well, but he does not seem to understand it. He thinks he can tweet and get a number of likes, go on Facebook. That's not enough, because people want to hear his strategy, his plan for the year. After these MPs, what do we do? What do we do with the places where people are contesting? Are the same MPs coming? Those things need to come from the president. But he's sending out Mahere to do these press conferences where she's talking at that high level, at a very, very theoretical and high level, which is not political at all. And then I want to go to John Gambako. You're Andy Chamisa. I actually don't care about Chamisa right now. I don't sleep and think about Chamisa or anything. He's just a political party like any other. So I'm not anti-Chamisa, but he's making a lot of mistakes. And this is what we're talking about right now. Then learning to unlearn to talk about Chamisa, because that is the person we support and want all the lies and news we can get out there. It's true. Chamisa is very, very big news. And as I said to you, last year, we made no less than 100 videos about Chamisa. In the past 3 years, I've made no less than 690 videos about Chamisa. He is going to be made videos about, because he is the second person in the past election. Chamisa was number 2 in terms of numbers of the presidential election. And you all remember that Chamisa had more votes than the MPs put together. Remember that. So when you say Chamisa is a brand, that is what you mean. Many people recognize Chamisa than the MPs. Now we're talking about the MPs here. Remember that Chamisa's party, they've lost all the by-elections, if I'm not mistaken, all the by-elections that have been held since 2018. They have not won anything. And the reason why they are losing is because they do not have a direct interface with the communities. The communities want those high-level changes in the country. But at a local level, Chamisa is not doing well. He's above. He's operating above. And the selection of candidates is wrong. They're not selecting the candidates that the people want. Most of the Machiavellian candidates, they came from South Africa. Or they were people who were imposed. These are the kind of things that are being repeated again as we speak. And you remember that tweet by, in fact, I can say everyone this week has been tweeting about it. Chamisa, please make a decision. Chamisa, don't make this mistake. And that mistake is being made. Right, I want to end it with Uju Tafuma. Chamisa forgets most of his fans on social media, people outside Zimbabwe using cheap internet data, and these people don't vote and they're not registered. Yes, I agree with this. And this is where the game is being played, on the voting day. Chamisa needs to do well in planning, in setting up his organization, in being decisive. But the opponent, ZANU-PF, can beat him hands down if they improve here, if they can get their people out. And I can tell you, if this happens, if ZANU-PF does this and gets their people out on voting day, they will annihilate Chamisa, they will annihilate Monzora. Because ZANU-PF has the numbers. They have got the numbers enough so that if they get people out, these people will vote and ZANU-PF will win in the cities. And that will wake up these political parties, these opposition parties. They are taking people for granted. If you look at what Chamisa, Monzora, Kupe have been doing, it's shameful in a country like Zimbabwe, where there are so many important issues. They keep fighting each other. Everything that you hear from Chamisa, from Monzora, from Kupe, from Muzuri, from whoever, these guys, it's all about our side is better than the other side. But they are all opposition. These guys, they would rather be out of politics, they lose, ZANU-PF wins, and then they can learn that they are not so indispensable as they think. They are not contributing anything, these opposition parties, in the way that they're behaving right now. If you look at the ideological difference between Chamisa and Monzora, what is it? The ideological difference is Chamisa is saying, I am the only person who can bring change on this country, the country's problem. If you look at Monzora saying, let's work with the president of Zimbabwe and all the other opposition parties, and let's create a bloc that is got the interests of the country, and then everyone moves forward. To move Chamisa from where he is to where he gets to the same position as Monzora, it will take ZANU-PF to win a lot of elections in between. And you will see, these things will happen. And I hope that the ZANU-PF guys, they listen to this advice. They work very hard to get their people out. Because Chamisa cannot get his people out the way they're doing now. If you go to Binga, if they can get even 2,000 people out in Binga, it would be shocking. So if ZANU-PF has got 3,000 supporters in Binga, make sure every supporter of ZANU-PF goes out and votes. Similarly, go out in Harare, in Bulawayo. Make sure every ZANU-PF supporter goes out to vote. And you can shock these people because they are not focused on the right thing. Chamisa and the other opposing guys. Right, I think we've done justice to this discussion, and I think I'll bring it to an end here. Let's see if tomorrow I can come back and we'll look at what Kasukuwere has been doing. There's a big thing happening with Xavier Kasukuwere. So let's come back tomorrow and look at that. And then on Tuesday, I'll have my usual guest, Dr. Fedias Mteneri, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching this. And as soon as Chamisa makes an announcement, I'll obviously come up and we analyze what he's been doing and what he's been saying. What is the new name? What are the implications? But I hope that they make changes to the way they select candidates. I want to see, even Fadzema herself, I want to see on the ballot box, I want to see people like Ostalos. I think the Ostalos has got the potential to become the future president of the MDC. And we need young people now. Tendai Biti, I want to see him out of the vote, the rest right now. There is no point in Tendai Biti contesting right now to be an MP. He must stay out. Most of those guys, like Job Scala, I wish they had stepped down and allowed younger people to get in. We need a fresh set of MPs coming in there who can take this MDC to a different level. I want to see what John Prince, if you do this, the next time I'll ban you. In fact, let me ban you now because I don't take this very lightly. MDC guys, your comments make me laugh sometimes. Like when I go and look at them. Let's look at right. You will be reminded the name will never change to remain MDCA. Okay, continue with that and let's see where it takes you. You will have 2023 still fighting over a name. Because remember the MPs that are in parliament now, they are MDCA. If they make this mistake and try to contest as MDCA, they might end up failing to file their nominations. And these are the kind of advice that Chamisa is getting, which are poor and taking him nowhere at all. Right. Thank you very much, everybody, and good night.
Uyo uko kuno apo pano mamuona kere nai anovura meso anovura nzeve anokaya mari Kambakwe.com Kambakwe.com Usasarire Kambakwe anogaya mari
Kambakwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com Kambakwe vanogaya mari vanotaura mari vanosiya mari Kambakwe vanotaura feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei vanomuterere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei mirai ndikudze kuti chokwadi pano chizere Kambakwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotaura straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence
entertainment current affairs and news Kambakwe.com